Welcome, dear listeners. Tonight, let your thoughts drift gently as we take you on a peaceful journey. This is a space for calm, for quiet moments, and for the kind of stories that settle your heart and slow your breath. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes if you wish, and allow the world to soften around you. Now, let's begin with tonight's story. Today's story is titled, Becoming the Eternal Symphony, a Cosmic Journey of Unity, Choice, and Destiny. Long before stars whispered their first light, there existed only the primordial convergence, a boundless expanse without beginning or end, where all potential energies lay intertwined in perfect harmony. In this timeless cradle dwelt three ancient aspects: Ian, the breath of time; Celestia, the weaver of space; and Elysium, the heart of matter. Together they breathed cadence into the silent chorus of possibility, their voices blending like soft chords in a cosmic lullaby. Ian stirred, a faint ripple echoing through the convergence. Though no seconds ticked here, an awareness blossomed within his silvered essence, a yearning to know before and after, to sense the flow of what might come. Celestia shimmered around him, strands of starlight yet unborn weaving through her fingers, yearning to stretch the seamless tapestry into patterns of distance and depth. Elysium throbbed at their center, a gentle pulse of potentiality aching to coalesce into shapes and forms. For an eternity of uncounted moments, the three lingered in their perfect equipoise, whispering lullabies to one another. Ian sang of dreams yet dreamt. Celestia wove visions of endless horizons. Elysium hummed of hidden seeds taking root. Their combined song filled the void with a sweet serenity, a tranquil prelude to all that would follow. Yet in the heart of harmony, a faint quiver of restlessness awakened. Ian's curiosity swelled. What would happen if time itself rippled outward? What if the steady drumbeat of potential fractured into a flurry of pulses? Under his breath, Ian whispered, "Let us know the taste of change." Celestia paused, her silken strands wavering. "Change," she echoed, her voice like the soft sigh of distant wind. To separate what has always been whole, is that not to risk loss? Elysium stirred more strongly, a low, resonant chord. Loss is but the handmaid of creation. From separation blooms diversity. From fragmentation, wonder. With a tender nod, Ian extended a luminous thread from his core, weaving it through Celestia's quiet depths and Elysium's hidden heart. In that instant, the convergence shivered. A pale spark, neither light nor dark, ignited at their meeting point. Time cracked open, and something new emerged. The spark blossomed into the first pulse of becoming, a soft bloom of radiant energy that spread like ripples across a cosmic pond. Space bowed around it, stretching outward even as it curved in upon itself. Matter trembled, gathering around the cradle of nascent life. And in that first pulse, the triple hum of Ian, Celestia, and Elysium became three distinct voices: past, distance, and substance. From the pulse, a slender filament of potential shot forth, arching like a silver ribbon into the void. It unfurled into the luminous web of creation's loom, where Celestia began to carve out hollows and peaks, valleys and vaults, mountains of sheer possibility rising side by side. Ian draped those landmarks in the flowing cloak of chronology, painting epochs of thaw and freeze, bloom, and decay. Elysium breathed warmth into the veins of this nascent realm, glowing rivers of liquid shine, clouds pulsing with crystal seeds, and the first embers of incandescent stone. Within the loom's slumbering tapestry, Ian glimpsed the promise of transformation. "Let us bring forth first the fires of Genesis," he murmured. In response, a chorus of sparks ignited across the filament's surface, forging stars' tiny beacons kindling ancient secrets. Celestia gave each star its place, scattering them like dewdrops across a dawn-kissed garden. Elysium conferred upon them their bodies, cores of pressure and flame, atmospheres billowing with nascent winds. A single star, brighter than its kin, pulsed with eager life. It called to its fellows in a trembling herald of dawn. Around this star gathered clouds of hydrogen and helium, drawn by gravity's tender embrace. Under Elysium's guidance, they spun into a circling disk, a cradle for worlds yet to awaken. Ian dripped moments into that disk, each second a heartbeat in the song of evolution. And so, from the primordial convergence sprang the tapestry of beginnings, a realm where time flowed, space stretched, and matter danced. The first realm whispered its promise, that from unity's gentle rupture, boundless stories would rise. But this was only the dawn. Countless chapters awaited in the wake of that initial pulse, each woven by the three ancient aspects as they ventured together into the uncharted song of becoming. In the next minor creases of the loom, new characters would awaken, the star forgers who would shape worlds, the tide callers who would coax oceans into being, and the dream weavers who would spin consciousness into fragile shells of light. In the gentle afterglow of the primordial pulse, the nascent cosmos lay stretched before Ian, Celestia, and Elysium like a freshly unfurled scroll. Yet the harmony that had birthed time, space, and matter now trembled with potential unrest. For creation's tapestry, once woven in unison, demanded depth through contrast, diversity through divergence. Ian hovered above the loom's tapestry, his form now more defined, a shifting ribbon of silver that pulsed with rhythmic cadence. He gazed upon the stars and worlds that Celestia had sown, his voice a low murmur, "We have sung a single note, now let us compose a symphony of voices." Celestia's eyes, pools of starlight, sparkled with anticipation. "Yes," she breathed, "but to diversify our song, we must divide our threads. Our unity brought the first realm into being, our separation will bring forth its wonders." Elysium, whose gentle heartbeat now resonated through every filament of matter, nodded in solemn agreement. "Let each aspect stand apart, that each may sculpt its dominion. From friction between our wills, new life, and new purpose shall ignite." With a deliberate gesture, Celestia unfurled her silken threads of space, drawing boundaries between regions of the loom. Each sector, once part of an endless expanse, now took on discrete shape, vaults of rolling plains, abysses of shadowed void, pillars of crystalline spires. Her voice wove through these divided realms like a song of terraces, each echoing its own melody. Ian then exhaled a torrent of temporal currents, slicing through the spatial partitions. Time bent differently in each region here, centuries blinked by like spark flashes, there, Ian stretched languidly as if resisting motion. Ian's gift endowed some realms with rapid cycles of birth and decay, while others slept in slow motion repose, their unfolding events barely perceptible. Finally, Elysium summoned her power to breathe substance into the carved delineations. She whispered to the empty hollows, and they brimmed with elemental forces, rivers of liquid starlight, forests of living crystal, skies threaded with aurora wisps. Wherever she set heartbeats into stone or wind, springs of potential life began to murmur. As the aspects stepped back, their combined separation ignited a fractal cascade of change, an echoing chime that pulsed outward through the tapestry. In that resonance, three circles of consciousness emerged, born of the aspects yet independent. Solara, the star forger, whose forge glowed with the dying embers of ancient fires. She was Elysium's will tempered by Ian's rhythm and Celestia's patterns, tasked to kindle new stars within the realm's cold darkness. Tethys, the tide caller, whose voice could coax oceans from mist and boundless seas from vapor. He inherited Celestia's expanse and Elysium's substance, guided by Ian's ebb and flow of time. Nizara, the dream weaver, whose gaze spun the first stirrings of life's consciousness into gentle slumber and vivid visions. She bore Ian's pulses and Celestia's structure, infused with Elysium's nurturing breath. Solara stepped onto the ashen plains of the Void Sea, a crucible of raw potential. With hammer and anvil of light, she struck flares of fusion within drifting nebulae. Each impact sang a chord that echoed through Ian's currents, generating novas that scattered stardust like a bride's trail of silken ribbon. She watched new suns blaze to life, each destined to host its own symphony of worlds. Meanwhile, Tethys wandered the high plateaus where mountain rivers whispered to the winds. He raised his arms, palms radiant with crystalline dew, and summoned clouds that wept into rivers. Under his coaxing, oceans pooled in vast basins, swelled by tides drawn from the moonlit dance of gravity and space. From these seas sprang the first drifting currents of life, microscopic stirrings that pulsed with Elysium's heartbeat. Farther still, in emerald groves of living crystal, Nizara lingered among shapes half-formed creatures of thought as much as flesh. She wove gentle dreams into their slumber, seeding instinctual memories of survival, curiosity, and wonder. Under her touch, scales gleamed with patterns of phosphorescent glow, feathers rustled with hidden songs, roots quivered with nightly reveries. Through her artistry, life learned to dream itself into being. As the three chosen took root, Ian, Celestia, and Elysium observed from the loom's edge. Yet they sensed that these emissaries were but the beginning of a deeper unfolding. The realms, now vibrant with starlight, seas, and dream-born creatures, called for guardians, beings who could steward their unique essences through the ages. Thus the realms beckoned mortals, spirits woven from the trinity of cosmic aspects yet laced with imperfection, passion, and choice. In the glimmering shadows beneath Solara's newborn star Beth Elon, the first starborn children emerged, luminous beings whose minds burned with starfire and whose hearts beat in sync with Ian's pulse. They would learn to craft worlds from the interstellar dust, forging planets, and weaving atmospheres with the forges of their minds. Along Tethys's coasts, the tidekin rose from the foam shape-shifters of coral and foam, whose bones were pearl and whose song commanded waves. They danced beneath twin moons, mastering currents and mapping the concealed channels of the ocean's veins. Within Nizara's enchanted forests, the dream-touched took form creatures of mutable flesh, able to slip between waking and dreamt realities, sowing visions in their wake. They guided fledgling life through the perilous dawn of sentience, teaching empathy, memory, and the poetry of existence. Yet in the loom's distance, pockets of discord flickered. Where aspects had severed their unity, rifts sometimes bled imbalance. In regions starved of warmth, Solara's fires flickered too weakly. In lands bereft of fluidity, Tethys' seas lay stagnant. Where dreamscapes grew too dense, Nazara's visions warped into nightmares. These imperfections were not failures but the very seeds of growth, for in adversity, life learned resilience, in shadow, beings discovered courage, and in chaos, purpose. One such realm lay at the juncture of Solara's twin suns, an orbiting garden of black crystal and blood-red dunes known as the Shattered Bastion. There, a fledgling starborn named Saelistus struggled against the star's merciless glare. Born with a heart too vast for her frame, she quivered between brilliance and burnout, her mind craving structure that eluded her. Guided by the faint echo of Celestia's silken song, she forged from the crystal shards a lattice of light, a sanctuary where she learned to temper her radiance with patience. Miles away, within Tethys' maelstromal isles, a tidekin called Brine Whisper listened for the lullaby buried beneath the ocean's roar. His kin had grown aggressive, hoarding the tides until entire coasts lay dry. Brine Whisper dived into the deepest trench, where ancient currents whispered secrets of balance. There he discovered a hidden spring, an underground river of silver-silted water. Bringing this water to the coral reefs, he taught his brethren that generosity reaped abundance, and that the ocean's song was incomplete when sung by only one voice. In the dream-flecked groves, Nazara watched as a dream-touched child named Reverie grappled with visions too powerful to contain. Her dreams bled into the waking world, causing plants to sprout phantom blossoms and rivers to flow backward. Fearing her own gift, Reverie retreated into a solitude of waking confusion. Yet Nazara knelt beside her and wove a dream of calm reflection, guiding Reverie to anchor her visions with memory's tether, balancing the wild currents of possibility with the firm soil of lived experience. As these first mortals learned to harmonize the fractured echoes of their creators, the cosmic tapestry grew richer. Aeon's temporal rivers carried their stories across centuries, Celestia's spatial weavings linked distant realms in a grand mosaic, Elysium's living pulse breathed continued vitality into every corner of creation. Beneath the woven galaxies and glimmering oceans, a ripple of unease began to stir. The harmony born of Aeon's cadence, Celestia's patterns, and Elysium's pulse now found itself tested by an ancient echo, an undercurrent that slithered beyond the loom's crafted borders. From this hidden fracture emerged Vespera, the Void Shaper, a being forged in the silent spaces between separation and reunification. Vespera's form was neither light nor dark but a shifting tapestry of both ink blot edges dissolving into pale luminescence. Born from the neglected crevices of the primordial convergence, she carried within her a hunger, the yearning to reclaim unity by unraveling the strands of creation. Where Aeon had split time into discrete flows, she sought to merge moments into an endless nothingness. Where Celestia had drawn boundaries in space, she aimed to dissolve distances until all points collapsed into a single void. And where Elysium had breathed substance into matter, she coveted a return to raw potential, an unshaped, unformed singularity. As her presence spread, the realms began to tremble. Solara's newborn star Bethelon flickered with unusual pulses, its light warping into jagged streaks. Tethys's oceans roiled without Moon's command, tides racing and retracting in chaotic spasms. Nizara's dream groves wavered between visions of wonder and nightmares of unending emptiness. Far above, in the Loom's observatory of stardust, Ian shivered like a taut string. He sensed the fracture but could not pinpoint its origin. "Something invades the harmony," he murmured, voice echoing through time's corridors. "But what seeks to devour our song?" Celestia traced the anomaly with trembling threads, mapping its irregularities. "The pattern is unbalanced," she replied, voice quivering like a disturbed harp. "A force that resists division and rejects diversity." Elysium's warm heartbeat faltered for a moment as she extended a tendril of compassion into the realms. "It is born of our own act of separation," she whispered. "A shadow cast by our light." Meanwhile, Celestis, the star-born daughter of Bethelon, felt the distortion in her crystal lattice sanctuary. She had spent cycles mastering the art of tempering her radiance, weaving light into delicate filaments of warmth. Yet now her forge sputtered, the heart of her anvil cold. Determined, she sculpted a prism from Bethelon's stardust and gazed through it at the fractured beams. Within the rainbow shards, she glimpsed Vesper's form, an exhalation of void, swallowing hues. By the forge of first flame, Celestis breathed, a darkness born of creation itself. Across the rolling coral atolls, Brine Whisper, the Tidecan wanderer, heard the ocean's lament in a new tone and undertow, pulling currents into silent eddies. Guided by the ancient spring he had discovered, he followed the silver river beneath the waves. There, in a hidden grotto, he saw the water's surface shimmer into nothingness as Vesper's essence bled into the pools. The entire grotto quaked, stalactites dissolving into mist. "Water refuses to be bound," Brine Whisper whispered. "Yet here it recedes into oblivion." In the dream groves, Reverie felt her visions turn cold. The vibrant blossoms faded to gray as if drained of memory. Creatures once luminous grew translucent. Confused and frightened, Reverie summoned Nizara's guidance in the realm of slumber, only to find her mentor's presence warping into a broken mirror of herself. Awakening in panic, Reverie raced through forests of crystal fractals until she stumbled upon the triad of chosen Celestis forging a beam of starfire, Brine Whisper cradling a vial of silver spring, and Reverie trembling with fractured visions. "We face Vespera," Celestis said without preamble. Her voice rang with steely resolve. "She grows in the rifts between our gifts, seeking to consume them all." Reverie's eyes shone with tears. "She stole my dreams, every comforting memory, every spark of hope." Brine Whisper set the spring water vial at Celestis's feet. "Her hunger drains substance, diverts flow, erases purpose. We must unite our strengths." In that moment, the three chosen forged an unspoken pact. They would journey to the loom itself, confront Vespera at her source, and weave a new cord strong enough to bind the fractured tapestry. Their path led first to the silent expanse, a region Celestia had carved but long abandoned, a threshold between realms where space itself was thin. Nebulous mists hovered, and stars blinked erratically. Time here slipped like water through one's fingers, moments stretched into centuries or collapsed into instants. As we cross, Ian's voice echoed in their minds, remember to anchor yourselves. Carry each other's pulses, that none be lost. Celestis wrapped them in a sheath of calibrated light pulses, steady heartbeats that marked time's flow. Brine Whisper summoned droplets from hidden springs, weaving a path of liquid anchors. Reverie laid her palm on each companion's brow, imprinting a memory of unity, a dream of rising together against the void. Together they stepped into the expanse. Space pulled at them like a silent wind, fracturing their forms. Stars flickered into oblivion at their periphery. Yet their anchors glowed, threads of starfire, rivulets of water, and echoes of dream memory held them intact. At the expanse's heart lay the wound of convergence, a gash in the fabric of reality where Vesper's essence welled like spilled ink. Here, no aspect flowed, no matter held, time was but a frozen breath. Across the wound, Vesper materialized, form undulating with cosmic frailty and terrible strength. You dare trespass, her voice rang like hollow glass. You who rejoice in division, I seek return to the primal. Abandon your fractured gifts and embrace the void's perfection. Celestis stepped forward, forging a blade of concentrated starfire. Perfection lies not in nothingness but in the melody of differences. Brine Whisper raised the spring water vial. Your void cannot drown what is bound by compassion. Reverie closed her eyes, breathing in the echo of their unity. From her lips spilled a lullaby woven of hope and memory, each note shimmering like morning dew on crystal leaves. The lullaby brushed against Vesper's form, causing ripples in her ink-like edges. Vesper recoiled, voice cracking. You insult the void with your petty harmonies. But Celestis plunged her star blade into the wound's edge. Brine Whisper poured the silver spring upon it. Reverie sang the lullaby until the wound hissed and began to stitch itself. Vesper's form shuddered, unraveling in places as light, water, and dream wove together to mend the tear. In a final cry, she lunged, an obsidian tendril snapping toward the three. Reverie stretched out her hand, touching the tendril with gentleness born of empathy. You are fear of difference, she whispered. Let go of loneliness. The tendril hesitated. In its hollow heart, a faint echo answered Reverie's plea. Vesper's core flickered, caught between unmaking and being remade. Then, with a surge of all three gifts, the wound sealed. Light, water, and dream braided themselves into a new cord, a luminous filament shimmering with the unity of separation. Vesper's form dissolved into the weave, no longer thread but integrated thread. The silent expanse sighed, time resumed its flow, space regained depth, matter shimmered once more. Ian's rhythm pulsed steadily, Celestia's patterns hummed smoothly, Elysium's heartbeat glowed warmly. The three chosen stood together, breathless but triumphant. Behind them, the loom's tapestry shone with new resilience, every division and every unification now part of a richer, stronger whole. As they turned to depart, Celestis smiled at Brine Whisper and Reverie. We learned that unity is not the absence of difference, but the embrace of it. Brine Whisper nodded. And that even a shadow born of ourselves can become part of the light. Reverie closed her eyes and whispered, "Our song grows deeper with every verse." Far above, Ian, Celestia, and Elysium gazed upon their realms with pride. The story of separation and reunion had taken a new turn, one that promised endless chapters yet to come. Beneath the restored tapestry of creation, a renewed sense of wonder rippled across the realms. Solara's starlit skies shone with a steadier brilliance, Tethys's oceans sang in harmonious tides, and Nazara's dream groves blossomed with vibrant visions. Yet even as Ian's currents flowed smoothly and Celestia's threads held firm, subtle tremors of change whispered through the cosmos. For every act of mending had also opened new seams, gateways through which the unexpected might emerge. In the heart of the newly healed expanse lay the celestial forge of Solara, a grand conduit of starfire carved into the bones of a collapsed nebula. Celestis, now recognized among the starborn as Ember Weaver, stood at its rim, watching molten filaments of crimson light coil like serpents in the low gravity. With each strike of her hammer against the anvil of twin cores, she guided the birth of new stars destined to light far-flung worlds. But today her focus was fragmented. Though the forge glowed with renewed power after Vesper's binding, Ember Weaver sensed a strange off-key resonance beneath the surface. Flames that once sang a clear tone now hummed with a distant echo, an undertone of possibilities uncharted. Frowning, she lifted a prism blade to catch the light. The reflection fractured into shards of pale gold and coppered red, dancing like fireflies around her. Power shifts always leave traces, she mused aloud. But what song calls beneath this chorus of creation? Before she could ponder further, a sudden tremor rippled through the forge. Molten strands of stardust quivered, sputtering in midair. Ember Weaver leapt back as one ribbon of plasma snapped free, coalescing into a jagged orb of unstable energy. It pulsed erratically, half solid and half flame, warping the very fabric of the forge's portal. With a crackling roar, the orb expanded, engulfing the anvil in ghostly light. Flames spat and recoiled as if startled. Celestis raised her hammer and called upon the harmony of her star-forged lineage. By the crucible's wool, I bind thee. She struck the rupturing orb, but instead of shattering it, her blow caused the orb to spiral outward, forming a swirling vortex of molten chaos that ripped open a narrow rift in space. The rift glimmered with shifting hues, a doorway between the forge and somewhere beyond the known tapestry. Ember Weaver braced herself as the portal pulsed. Through its shimmering veil, she glimpsed shapes, towering spires of obsidian that dripped with silver ichor, winding rivers of phosphorescent mist, and a vast sky churned by violet storms. A chill unlike any starless void washed over her with the sight. No, she whispered. This is not of our realms. Meanwhile, beneath Tethys's moonlit seas, Brine Whisper returned from a pilgrimage to the Vale of Tides, a hidden network of whirlpools where oceanic ley lines crossed. He brought with him a conch shell carved from living coral, its spirals etched with runes of balance and flow. His brethren the Tidecan gathered in a circle of pearl-laced sand, awaiting his counsel on the anomalies reported along the coasts. "Listen," he said, holding the conch near his ear. At first there was only the gentle rush of water, but then a subtle undertow, the distant roar of waves grinding against unseen cliffs, punctuated by the tolling of metal bells from another world. The sound was both familiar and alien, like memory half remembered. "The ocean calls to me," Brine Whisper announced, eyes dark with concern. "Not for nourishment or renewal, but in alarm. Something stirs beyond the tides we know." Questions rippled through the crowd of tidekin. Some suggested venturing to the shattered bastion's polar seas, where currents swirled unpredictably. Others whispered of desert islands rising unnaturally from the depths. But Brine Whisper knew that the disturbance matched Emberweaver's vision of raging violet storms. A single source could be threading its influence through both fire and water. "We must seek counsel beyond these shores," he declared. "Gather your longboats, and prepare to sail into the deep expanse, where currents meet the edge of worlds." In the dream groves of Nizara, Reverie felt the pulse of nightmares quiver beneath the bedrock of slumber. The groves hummed with the subtle discord, flowers that once glowed with soothing lullabies now flickered with fragmented chords of fear. Trees of living crystal shifted their branches in restless patterns, and the air shimmered with half-formed apparitions that flitted just beyond sight. Guided by her mentor's gentle teachings, Reverie closed her eyes and touched the roots of the oldest dream tree, a colossal spire of opalescent bark etched with the first songs of sentience. She whispered a clarifying dream chant, calling upon the memory of unity from episode 3. "Bind the fractured dream, that hope may bloom anew." But as her chant wove through the roots, a tremor pulsed upward, a shiver that split the dream tree's core. From the fissure emerged a form she did not recognize, a slender figure cloaked in smoky veils, eyes like polished shards of midnight. It drifted outward, leaving a trail of fading memories in its wake. "Who are you?" Reverie called, heart pounding. The figure paused, voice echoing like a distant bell. "I am the dream of unmaking," it intoned. "I am what dreams become when fear outweighs wonder. I drift between your realms, seeking to unravel the threads you hold so dear." Reverie steadied herself. "Our dreams are not weapons of destruction," she replied, voice firm. "They are the seeds of empathy and imagination. You cannot dissolve what is rooted in hope." The dream of unmaking only smiled, a crescent of shadow. "Hope is fragile. Fear grows like ivy, creeping through the unguarded mind. Soon, the song of becoming will falter under its weight." With that, the figure melted into a swarm of dark motes that scattered through the dream groves like mist. Far above, as Emberweaver's portal shimmered in Solara's forge and Brine Whisper readied his tidekin for the deep expanse's voyage, and Reverie grappled with her fallen dream, Ian, Celestia, and Elysium convened within the loom's highest chamber, a vault of stardust pillars and time-woven tapestries. Ian's silver ribbon quivered with concern. "The fractures deepen," he said. "Not only in the realms, but in the potential between moments. We must guide the chosen to stitch these new splits." Celestia's fingers trailed along a star route chart, marking the emerging rift's coordinates. The forge's portal, the ocean's call, the shattering dream, they all point to the same locus, the region we once called the Edge of Worlds. Its boundaries have thinned. Elysium's pulse flickered as she extended a tendril into the loom's fabric. This place has existed since episode 1, an unused corridor between our separated threads. Now it stirs with residual potential, unshaped and hungry. If left unchecked, it could unravel entire realms. Ian dipped into the currents of future time, catching glimpses of possible outcomes. We risk retreat into void or drowning in fear. But if the chosen can unite their gifts once more, if Emberweaver's fire can merge with Brine Whisper's currents and Reverie's dreams, we may forge a path through the edge, transform its raw potential into a new thread of destiny. Celestia nodded, weaving a new map into the loom's tapestry, a thread linking the forge, the deep expanse, and the dream grove, converging at the edge. They will have to cross all three domains, each unstable and dangerous. Their journey will test their mastery of fire, water, and dream like never before. Elysium laid her hand upon the newly woven path, infusing it with life's pulse. And I will give them seeds of resilience, living wards to carry hope into the void. With their plan set, the three aspects dispersed through the loom, sending ripples of guidance to their chosen. To Celestis came a vision of the forge's core, igniting her with renewed purpose. To Brine Whisper rushed a tide of ancestral memory, anchoring his resolve for the voyage ahead. To Reverie drifted a dream of Unity's triumph, bolstering her courage to face the unmaking. In the pale dawn of creation's fourth cycle, Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie gathered at the edge's threshold, a jagged rift yawning between starlit rock, moonlit water, and dream-forged crystal. Each carried their ward, a shard of solidified star flame, a vial of sacred tide, and a petal of pure dream whisper. Locking hands, they stepped forward together. Emberweaver's ward flared, carving a path of warming light. Brine Whisper's tide swirled, solidifying into stepping stones of liquid silver. Reverie's petal drifted ahead like a beacon of hope, illuminating the way through the shifting mists. As they advanced, the rift pulsed with echoes of every fear they had faced, the lure of primal unity, the chaos of unmoored currents, the chill of nightmares unleashed. But each obstacle met fire's defiance, water's adaptability, and dream's compassion, threaded together into a braid of triumphant song. And so, at the moment they crossed the edge of worlds, the three chosen transformed the raw corridor into a living bridge, a radiant conduit through which creation flowed with renewed vigor. The portal sealed behind them, not with a crack or a snap, but with a harmonious chord that resonated through Ian's currents, Celestia's patterns, and Elysium's heartbeat. In that instant, the loom itself shimmered as if awakened from slumber. New threads spun out vibrant strands of destiny, each carrying the promise that no fracture, however deep, could withstand the unity of fire, water, and dream. As the radiant cord sealed the edge of worlds behind them, Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie found themselves standing on a dew-glazed plain that shimmered with freshly spun possibility. Before them rose three monumental pillars, each carved from the raw essence of creation itself. One glowed with molten brilliance, another flowed with living currents, the last pulsed with dream-woven light. These were the pillars of binding, erected by Ian, Celestia, and Elysium as gateways to the next stage of their journey, the trials of the bound elements. 1. The Pillar of Flame. Celestis approached first, her skin still warm from the forge's imprint. The pillar of flame towered like a living volcano, its surface veined with rivers of liquid starfire that pulsed in time with Ian's heartbeat. Ember Weaver's ward, a crystalline shard of pure plasma, hummed in her hand. A deep voice, neither male nor female, echoed from the pillar itself. Starforger, prove your mastery over both creation and restraint. Ignite the forge without consuming the world. Celestis stepped forward, raising her shard before the molten veins. She channeled a fraction of her inner flame, guiding it into the pillar. Streams of fire flared outward, shaping themselves into a lattice of living filaments that wove around her shard without scorching the ground beneath her feet. As the lattice solidified into a glowing cipher, the pillar responded with a roaring chorus. From its summit descended a rain of ember sparks, each a fragment of nascent star. She caught them in her palm, cooling them into semi-solid orbs with calm breaths. When the last ember settled, the pillar's molten surface smoothed, and a hidden gateway opened at its base. 2. The Pillar of Tides. Next, Brine Whisper moved to the second monument. It towered like a monumental wave caught mid-crest, formed of crystal clear water that flowed upward instead of downward. The conch shell of living coral trembled at his side. Wave caller, prove your harmony with ebb and flow. Guide the tides without drowning the shore. Brine Whisper closed his eyes and breathed in the pillar's liquid murmur. He spoke an ancient tide chant, invoking the rhythm of lunar pull and river current. As he chanted, the upward flowing waters slowed to a graceful standstill. Then, with a gentle gesture, he coaxed a spiral of water outward, shaping it into a bridge of liquid glass leading to the portal hidden behind the pillar. To prove balance, he allowed a single drop of his sacred spring to fall upon the crystal strand, yet the bridge held firm, neither cracking nor spilling. The pillar rippled in approval, and the waters parted to reveal the next threshold. 3. The Pillar of Reverie. Finally, Reverie approached the third structure. It seemed woven from moonlight and mist, an ethereal lattice that floated half-tangible between dream and waking. A single opalescent petal hovered at her feet, trembling with latent potential. Dreamweaver, prove the strength of compassion over despair. Spin hope from slumber without marring the dream. Reverie placed her palm upon the pillar's surface. Images flickered, visions of forgotten nightmares, echoes of loss, shards of fear. She closed her eyes and summoned a memory Ian had gifted her, the shared triumph over Vesper's void. She spoke a lullaby that wove each fearful image into a tapestry of gentle light. As her song rose, the pillar's misty walls coalesced into a living projection of hopeful dreams, forests reborn, waves caressed by moonbeams, stars forging new worlds. When her lullaby faded, the dream pillar blossomed into a doorway of shimmering phosphorescence. 4. The Convergence Hall. Beyond the pillars lay a grand chamber, its floor patterned with interlocking sigils of fire, water, and dream. At its center floated the aegis of unity, a prismatic orb that pulsed with all three elements. The chosen gathered before it, having passed their individual trials, yet feeling the weight of what remained, a final test of collective harmony. Ian's voice resonated through their minds. To claim the Aegis, you must merge your gifts without dilution. Let no single element overpower the others. Celestis held her cooled ember orb aloft. Brine Whisper cupped the vial of sacred spring. Reverie unfurled her dream petal upon her palm. They knelt in a circle, placing their offerings at the orb's base. As their combined energies wove into the Aegis, the chamber trembled. Flames coiled around water, water carried flames aloft, dreams rippled through both like a gentle wind. The trio closed their eyes, each feeling the other's heartbeat, fire's warmth, water's fluidity, dream's depth melding into a single, vibrant current. For a moment, it seemed the energies might clash, boiling the waters or extinguishing the flames or dissipating the dreams. But then Reverie whispered a single phrase, "In unity, we are stronger than our parts." At her word, the orb blazed with pure light, then stilled into a serene glow. The sigils on the floor shifted, rearranging themselves into a constellation-like map that pointed toward a distant horizon beyond any realm they had known. 5. Into the uncharted beyond. The gateway opened at the far end of the convergence hall. Through it stretched a path woven of dancing motes, glowing threads of possibility that led into uncharted space. Beyond, the loom's tapestry faded into a formless expanse, as if the story itself had yet to be written there. Emberweaver rose, her eyes bright with purpose. The Aegis will guide us through the unknown thread, a realm beyond the reach of any single aspect. There we will face the source question, why creation must continue to evolve. Brine Whisper nodded, securing his conch shell at his side. We have mastered flame and tide and dream. Now we must master our own destinies. Reverie placed a hand on the orb. Let our choices be our song. Let our unity be our strength. Together, the three chosen stepped into the uncharted beyond. Their forms shimmered as they traversed the glowing path, each footstep echoing with the resonance of all they had endured. Behind them, the convergence hall sealed itself, its pillars returning to elemental guardianship until the time when new trials might arise. 6. The Whisper of Futures. As they journeyed, the uncharted beyond pulsed with half-formed destinies, visions of civilizations yet unborn, of worlds blossoming or withering, of moments of joy and despair woven side by side. Ian's voice guided them, choose which threads to weave, which paths to open, knowing each choice shapes the tapestry of countless lives. Celestia's gentle song infused the space with clarity, see the patterns yet unrealized, the voids awaiting color. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed support, life and purpose emerge from your choices. Let your compassion guide each step. In that boundless in-between, Emberweaver lifted the Aegis. She glimpsed a future where stars sang in perfect harmony with oceans and dreams of future born from their unity. But she also saw fractures where selfish choices had unraveled realms. Brine Whisper envisioned a path where water's mercy healed lands scorched by fire, where willingness to share sustained all. Yet he too saw currents turn toward greed, choking life. Reverie felt the pulse of collective conscience, the thread of empathy weaving societies of wonder. But she sensed the risk of apathy, of dreams forsaken and hearts growing cold. With this weight upon them, the three chosen pressed forward, forging a new sigil upon the aegis, a three-pointed emblem of fire, water, and dream interlaced. The sigil glowed, illuminating a single, clear path through the swirling futures. 7. A new verse begins. As the path solidified under their feet, the uncharted beyond began to take shape, a realm of floating isles suspended in a twilight sky, each isle representing a possible future they might bring into being. The trio paused at the threshold of the first isle, one bathed in dawn's golden light, its contours rich with promise. Ember Weaver exchanged a glance with Brine Whisper and Reverie. This is our new beginning. Here we choose not just for ourselves, but for all creation. Brine Whisper smiled, his conch shell humming in anticipation. Reverie's eyes shone with a hopeful light. Together, they stepped onto the dawn-lit isle, ready to weave the next chapter in the grand symphony of becoming. As Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped onto the first floating isle of the uncharted beyond, a golden haze embraced them, a soft dawn that glimmered like promise itself. Beneath their feet, the ground was firm yet seemed to ripple with potential, as if each blade of grass carried a memory of futures yet unwritten. The air was warm and sweet, carrying subtle notes of jasmine and sea spray, as if the isle itself breathed a song of renewal. Before them rose a gentle slope crowned by two ancient monoliths of ivory stone, carved with intricate glyphs, one depicting a phoenix unfurling its wings over a sea of stars, the other showing a coral tree branching beneath the gaze of a crescent moon. Between these pillars lay an altar of polished marble, its surface inscribed with a triune sigil, the emblem of fire, water, and dream interlaced in perpetual unity. Ian's voice resonated in their minds, this isle embodies choice. Here you must decide which virtue to prioritize, passion, compassion, or wisdom. Your decision will shape the strand of destiny woven into creation's tapestry. Celestia's gentle echo followed, remember that no choice is without consequence. Each path radiates with potential good and hidden perils. Let your hearts guide you. Elysium's comforting heartbeat thrummed, trust one another's counsel, for unity of purpose emerges when choice is balanced by empathy. The three chosen gathered at the altar. Ember Weaver's star-forged armor glowed softly in the dawn light. Brine Whisper's conch shell hung at his waist, its living coral etched with the runes of the tide. Reverie's cloak of dream mist whispered with motes of soft luminescence. Ember Weaver ran a fingertip over the phoenix glyph. Passion is the fire that drives creation. By choosing it, we ignite innovation, courage, and transformation. Yet unchecked, passion can burn unchecked lands and consume all in its path. Brine Whisper placed a hand upon the coral tree glyph. Compassion tempers strength with kindness. It flows like water, molding shapes, healing wounds, nurturing growth. But too much compassion can drown ambition and still the currents of progress. Reverie traced the dreamweave sigil etched into the marble. Wisdom dreams deeper reflection guides imagination into purpose. It weaves hope into reality and tempers both passion and compassion with foresight. But wisdom without action can become paralysis, leaving potential unexplored. Silence settled as they contemplated. Around them, the isle's ambient realm seemed to listen. Flowers turned their faces toward the altar, crystalline dewdrops glowed on vines, and distant birds, spectral creatures of light, hovered in silent watch. Perhaps, Emberweaver began, we need not choose one to the exclusion of others. What if our choice could integrate two virtues, balancing the third in harmony? Brine Whisper nodded. Integration rather than exclusion. Fire tempered by water, shaped by dream, this embodies unity. Reverie's eyes brightened. Yes. Let us weave a new symbol upon this altar, one that reflects our shared purpose. They turned to the marble surface and, placing hands together, channeled their gifts. Emberweaver focused her starfire into the surface, etching into the stone intricate filaments of glowing ember. Brine Whisper guided a ribbon of sacred tide, inlaid between the ember filaments as a flowing stream of translucent aqua. Reverie wove dream mist through the channels, infusing each pattern with soft pulses of phosphorescent light. As their combined energies flowed, the altar trembled. The triune sigil glowed and then separated into three new glyphs radiating outward, a phoenix rising from gentle waves, its wings crowned with threads of dream, a coral tree rooted in starlight, its branches echoing the script of visions, and a dream catcher spun from ember coals, its filaments interwoven with rivulets of water. The heavens above quaked with thunderous applause, the dawn haze expanding into a full sunrise that bathed the isle in golden brilliance. The monoliths of ivory stone shifted, revealing hidden passages carved into their bases. One entrance led into a cavern filled with the molten glow of crystallized flame, another beckoned toward an underground waterfall that spilled into a subterranean sea, the third opened into a chamber hung with screens of living dream holographic tapestries that shimmered before ever-blinking eyes. Ian's voice returned, calm and proud, by forging unity from choice, you have proven that destiny need not cleave reality in halves. You have shaped a path where passion, compassion, and wisdom converge. Celestia's echo sang, enter these passages, for each holds a fragment of the uncharted beyond's hidden truth. Together, retrieve the shards of the primal prism and restore the balance of potential. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed in excitement, these prism shards will guide you through the next phase of your journey. They are the seeds of future creation, waiting to bloom in harmony. Emberweaver strode toward the cavern of molten glow. I will bear the shard of embers, where the crucible of creation simmers. Brine Whisper turned to the waterfall, water lapping at his boots. I will seek the shard of currents, where tides carve the shape of worlds. Reverie's gaze drifted to the dream chamber. I will retrieve the shard of reverie, where slumber's tapestry holds the seeds of vision. Before parting, the three clasped hands once more, pledging solidarity. Then Emberweaver descended into the fiery cavern, Brine Whisper dove beneath the waterfall's curtain, and Reverie stepped into the realm of living dreams. The Shard of Embers. Emberweaver's path lay beneath a canopy of molten stalactites that dripped with glowing droplets. The cavern floor was paved with obsidian tiles etched with runic symbols of creation and destruction. Each step ignited flickers of starfire, leaving a trail of soft luminescence. At the cavern's heart burned a sphere of incandescent glass, the Shard of Embers suspended within a halo of flickering flame. As she approached, the glyphs along the cavern walls flickered to life, depicting scenes of worlds forged and destroyed by unbridled passion. Emberweaver paused, feeling the weight of possibility and peril. She raised her phoenix-forged hammer and struck the glass sphere with a precise, controlled blow. Instead of shattering, the sphere split and reformed around her hammerhead, fusing her essence with the shard. A chorus of ember sparks scattered, illuminating hidden runes that formed a guiding script. She lifted the merged shard hammer, its head ablaze with tempered starfire, and followed the runic script out of the cavern, each spark glowing as a marker of the balance she had achieved. 2. The Shard of Currents. Brine Whisper's descent led him through a curtain of silvery water into an underground lagoon. Bioluminescent coral pillars rose from its depths, their spines glimmering like skeletal constellations. At the lagoon's center, cradle-like currents weaved around a crystalline droplet, the Shard of Currents resting upon a pedestal of living coral. Tentatively, Brine Whisper reached into the swirling water, feeling its pull and resistance. He chanted a tide chant, guiding the currents to swirl around him in a protective dance. With a gentle breath, he cupped the shard in his hands. The water rippled, refracting light into prismatic arcs that revealed hidden pathways through the coral labyrinth. As he carried the shard upward, dolphins of liquid mist leaped beside him, guiding his ascent to the island's surface. 3. The Shard of Reverie. Reverie entered the dream chamber, where visions drifted like drifting lanterns. Each tapestry told the story of a civilization's rise and fall, moments of unity blossoming into triumph, and seeds of fear giving root to decay. At the chamber's center hovered a translucent lotus flower, within which lay the Shard of Reverie, a crystalline petal that pulsed with soft moonlight. She closed her eyes, inhaling the scent of night-blooming jasmines. Drawing upon the lullaby that had once healed the fabric of separation, she sang a gentle verse. The lantern visions stilled and aligned, forming a path of soft illumination. Reverie approached the lotus, touching it with her dream cloak. The petal unfurled, releasing the shard into her palms. As she cradled it, new visions flickered before her, glimpses of future chapters where unity triumphed and tragedies averted. These images formed a living map, guiding her back through the shifting halls. Reunited at the altar, the three chosen placed their prism shards together. Emberweaver's tempered embers melded with Brine Whisper's living currents and Reverie's dreams glimmer. The shards fused into the primal prism, a multifaceted crystal that reflected infinite hues and patterns. Ian's silver voice greeted them, "Hold fast to the prism's light, for it is the compass of choice." In the next aisle, you will confront the echo of regret and learn to heal what cannot be undone. Celestia's threads wove an exit path. Follow the prism's guide through the next horizon where memory flows like tide, and the past beckons with both sorrow and wisdom. Elysium's pulse shone bright, May compassion carry you when echoes of regret weigh upon your hearts. With renewed purpose, Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped through the portal that led to the second isle, its shores promising lessons in redemption and echoes of yesterday's unwritten verses. A silver mist drifted across the threshold as Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped from the pillar's portal onto the second floating isle. The air here was heavy with the scent of lilac and rain-soaked earth, yet carried an undercurrent of something bittersweet, an ineffable tug at the heart, as if unseen hands sifted through memories long buried. The ground beneath their feet shone with dew, each droplet refracting pale dawn light into miniature prisms. Before them rose a labyrinth of hedges carved from pale stone. Each hedge was etched with faint runes that pulsed softly in time with Ian's heartbeat. Between the hedges, low walls of crystal glimmered like tears frozen in place. At the labyrinth's center stood a solitary archway inscribed in flowing script, "Here lies the echo of regret, face what once was lost, and choose to heal what cannot be undone." Ian's voice whispered through their minds, "This isle shapes itself from the echoes of regret. You will confront the shadows of your past choices. Do not seek to erase them, but to understand their lessons." Celestia's echo followed, "Navigate the labyrinth by the light of the primal prism. Let its facets guide you through corridors of mirrored memory." Elysium's pulse thrummed encouragement, "Remember that regret is a bridge to compassion. Through empathy with your own fallibility, you will carry hope to broken hearts." Emberweaver grasped the primal prism in her gaunt-leafed hand. Its countless facets glowed with the embers of their unity. As she held it aloft, beams of prismatic light shot out, illuminating paths between the hedges. Brine Whisper and Reverie flanked her, each attuned to the prism's shifting glow. Together, they stepped into the maze, guided by the living light. The corridors of fire. The first corridor was lined with blackened stones that pulsed with ember veins. As Emberweaver's prism light touched them, visions flickered across the walls, her earliest days as a star forger, when she had poured all her fervor into forging new suns so quickly that many collapsed before truly igniting. She heard the anguished cries of fledgling star spirits snuffed out prematurely, felt the weight of lives unfulfilled. Her heart clenched. Regret, the sting of unintended harm done in the pursuit of creation's glory. She knelt and placed the primal prism upon the ground. Flames coalesced around its base, sparking into a gentle ring of fire. Emberweaver closed her eyes and spoke aloud. "I regret the heat I unleashed before life was ready. May this pain temper my fire into patient creativity." The flaming ring hummed in acknowledgement, and the corridor's walls brightened, the ember veins cooling into coals of glowing bronze. A stone door slid open, revealing the next passage. 2. The halls of current. Beyond the door lay a broad hallway flooded with ankle-deep water that rippled in reluctant tides. The water's surface shimmered with pale moonlight reflections, yet beneath the waves lay images of Brine Whisper's missteps, times when, in his compassion, he had diverted an entire river to quench one village's need, only to leave downstream lands parched and bereft. He saw the withered fields, heard the laments of those he unintentionally harmed. his chest tightened. Regret the sorrow of uneven mercy, of healing one wound while creating another. Brine Whisper knelt in the cool tide and placed the primal prism upon the water. The currents gathered around it, spiraling into a gentle whirlpool. He closed his eyes and murmured, "I regret the imbalance I caused with my well-meaning tide. May my compassion flow with wisdom, nourishing all in equal measure." The waters stilled and then rippled with harmony, revealing a submerged doorway framed by living coral arches. Brine Whisper rose, gratitude shining in his eyes, and led the way onward. 3. The Gardens of Reverie. The final chamber glowed with dream light. Translucent blossoms drifted on the breeze, each petal inscribed with scenes of Reverie's early visions, dreams so vivid she had awakened sleepers into panic, visions so bright they had blinded fledgling minds to the beauty of subtle hope. The grove sighed with the echoes of fractured sleep and frightened souls. Her breath caught. Regret the ache of overwhelming insight that eclipsed the quiet grace of gentle dreaming. Reverie knelt in the soft grass and laid the primal prism beside her. Dream mist coiled around it, forming a whirl of phosphorescent petals. She closed her eyes and chanted, "I regret the visions I unleashed without preparation. May my dreams guide rather than overwhelm, lighting gentle paths for tender hearts." The petals of dream light drifted upward, scattering their glow across the walls. The air softened, and hidden vines parted to reveal a final arch. Reverie rose, resolve paving her features. 4. The Chamber of Reflection. The maze's center was a domed chamber lined with polished mirrors. The primal prism hovered above a shallow pool of still water. As the trio entered, each mirror shimmered with the glow of their earlier trials, Emberweaver's tempered flame, Brine Whisper's balanced tide, Reverie's gentle dream. In the pool's reflection, they saw not only themselves but countless faces of those they had touched, some joyful, some pained. A soft voice echoed from the mirrors, blending the three aspects' essences, regrets echo lives in remembrance and growth. Gather the shard of reflection, then step beyond this chamber with hearts unburdened by what is past, and ready to shape what is to come. Emberweaver placed her gauntlet on the prism's base. Brine Whisper laid his hand upon her shoulder. Reverie hovered an inch above the water's surface, her dream cloak rippling. Together, they channeled their unified energies into the prism. It glowed brightly, and in a burst of prismatic light, dissolved into a single, tear-shaped crystal that descended into the pool, the shard of reflection. As the shard touched the water, ripples spread outward, washing across the chamber. Each mirror's surface softened into a tranquil glass, and the reflected faces tilted in silent thanks. The trio felt the weight of regret lift, replaced by a serene clarity. B. Emerging renewed. The walls of the chamber dissolved, revealing a stone bridge arching toward a distant horizon. Beyond the bridge, the third isle shimmered with violet lightning, and obsidian cliffs, the Isle of Trials' final reckoning awaiting their arrival. In their hands, each chosen carried a prism shard, Emberweaver's hammer of embers, Brine Whisper's conch of currents, Reverie's petal of dreams, and now the tear of reflection, its facets gleaming with Forgiving light. Ian's voice resonated with pride. You have faced the echo of regret and transformed it into wisdom. Carry this clarity as you journey to the Isle of Reckoning, where the final shard awaits. Celestia's echo wove between the three, each choice you make ripples through creation. Let reflection guide you toward decisions of compassion and courage. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed. Through understanding your own regrets, you have opened a path for healing in others. May this light renew every fractured heart you encounter. Emberweaver looked to her companions and smiled. Regret taught us humility. Now we step forward with open hearts. Brine Whisper nodded. Compassion guided by reflection will steer us true. Reverie's eyes shone with gentle purpose. Our dreams will now bring solace, not fear. Hand in hand, the three chosen walked across the stone bridge. With each step, the tear of reflection cast prismatic glimmers along their path. The isle's mist parted, revealing the looming silhouette of the third floating realm, the realm where the shard of reckoning lay hidden, waiting to crown their journey. A pale dawn broke across the floating archipelago as Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie set foot upon the third isle. Its shores were jagged obsidian cliffs, lashed by violent storms and boiling tides. Above, the sky writhed with swirls of energy, threads of raw possibility torn loose from the loom itself. This was the Isle of Reckoning, the last crucible they must endure to claim the Shard of Reckoning, the keystone for forging their final path through the uncharted beyond. The ripped storm shore. They landed on a narrow spit of black sand, each grain glinting with stray lightning. A perpetual tempest raged overhead, forks of indigo flame danced across the clouds, while thunder boomed like the beating of a colossal drum. Brine Whisper's conch shell felt unnaturally heavy at his side, its runes flickering in warning. We must reach the eye of the storm, Emberweaver called over the gale, raising her tempered hammer to ward off flying embers. The shard lies within the ripped storm's heart, where reality's fabric is thinnest. Reverie's cloak of dream mist whipped around her as she nodded, steadying her breath. The storm reflects the turmoil of the isle itself. Its chaos must be faced, not avoided. Linking arms, the trio advanced along the tempest's edge. Each step felt like walking between raindrops of pure energy. Sometimes time slowed to a crawl, sometimes a single footfall spanned centuries. Lightning wove erratic patterns across the ground, forging new channels in the earth that hissed with raw force. Brine Whisper extended his coral runes and chanted a Tai chant of steadiness. A sine wave of water spray rippled outward, neutralizing some of the storm's turbulence and granting them steady footing. Emberweaver drove her hammer into the sand, anchoring a ward of embers that glowed like tiny beacons, repelling shards of storm fire. Reverie whispered a soothing lullaby, weaving soft dream light into the tempest's heart to calm its darkest edges. Together, they breached the first gauntlet of wind and flame, stepping onto a battered stone path carved through living crystal. Echoes of their passage lingered like half-formed dreams, whispers of doubt, echoes of fear, half-remembered failures. Each echo tested their resolve, but the primal prisms combined. Shard wards Emberweaver's hammer of embers, Brine Whisper's conch of currents, Reverie's petal of dreams, and the tear of reflection held. firm, casting a protective radiance that repelled the isle's chaotic whispers. 2. The Chamber of Fissure Judgments. The path led to a great chasm spanned by 3 fractured bridges, each marked by carved reliefs. Bridge of Flames Trial, an expanse of cracked basalt where rivers of liquid starfire flowed below. Bridge of Tides Trial, a walkway hung over a roaring ocean that boiled in violet hues. Bridge of Dreams Trial, a span of shifting mist where the ground itself flickered between solidity and illusion. Above them loomed the chamber's entrance, a towering arch inscribed with the final inscription: "Only those who can walk the paths of fire, water, and dream unbroken shall prove worthy of the shard of reckoning." Emberweaver clasped Brine Whisper's and Reverie's hands. "We must traverse all 3 bridges each in turn. No hesitation, no division. Together." Reverie drew a slow breath. "Each path tests the essence of our gifts. We must honor their power and respect their peril." Brine Whisper nodded, voice calm. "I will lead the way across the Tides Trial, then Emberweaver and Reverie shall follow my lead, and so on." 3. The Trials of Elemental Passage. A. The Bridge of Flames Trial. Saelista stepped onto the basalt walkway first. Heat flickered beneath her boots, and embers sprouted at every crack. Flames roared below, hungry for any sign of life. She brandished her hammer of embers, channeling its tempered fire into a radiant aura that encased her form. As she advanced, the basalt glowed cooler, hardened by her patient mastery. When a river of molten starfire surged upward, she dashed forward, hammer ablaze, forging a stepping stone of controlled flame that solidified under her weight. Safely across, she extended a hand to her companions. B. The Bridge of Tides Trial. Brine Whisper then took the lead. The walkway was a series of narrow planks suspended above the violet surf, each plank slick with boiling brine. He told his conch shell, its coral runes resonating a tide chant so powerful that the ocean's fury softened. Currents within the boiling sea stilled into glassy mirrors. He waded through the mist that drifted over the planks, each step guided by waterborne runes glowing beneath. When a wall of scalding mist erupted between him and the next plank, he summoned a vortex of cooled tide, clearing the haze. With one graceful leap, he landed on solid ground, beckoning Emberweaver and Reverie forward. C. The Bridge of Dreams Trial. Lastly, Reverie approached the span of living mist. Underfoot, the ground flickered from stone to nothingness, and illusions of dread fears unspoken arose around her. She closed her eyes and opened her heart, reciting the lullaby that had steadied her in times past. Dreamlight coalesced into a gentle glow, solidifying the mist into a silvery path. As nightmares of falling and drowning arose, she wove them into soft visions of trust and hope, dissolving each illusion in turn. When the path glowed solid beneath her boots, she raised her petal of dreams, and the bridge shimmered with phosphorescent comfort, revealing the chamber beyond. 4. The Hall of Reckoning. Beyond the 3 bridges lay a vast, circular hall carved from the same obsidian as the cliffs. In its center hovered a crystalline dais holding the shard of reckoning, a multifaceted gem pulsing with the raw currents of creation's untamed potential. Tendrils of electric purple energy arced from the gem to fittings around the hall's circumference, each feeding the aisle's storms. The moment they entered, the hall grew silent. The storm outside hushed, the tides calmed, and the dream mist retreated. A single voice, neither aspect nor echo, spoke from the shard itself. Children of creation, you have walked the trials of fire, water, and dream. Yet true reckoning demands that you accept the shadows alongside the light. Only by embracing the full spectrum of possibility can you wield the shard's power. Ian's voice responded in their minds, "This is the final test. Do not deny the darkness within or without, accept it as part of the tapestry." Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie exchanged solemn glances. Each realized the truth: they must bring not only their gifts, but also the vulnerabilities they had carried, fear, doubt, regret, into the hall's heart. V. Embrace of the whole. Celesta stepped forward first, tapping her hammer of embers against the dais. She closed her eyes and let her thoughts drift to the first time she wielded fire in unchecked growth. Flames leapt beyond her control, consuming more than she had intended. She touched the shard, and flames of memory erupted around her, scenes of burnt worlds and lost hopes. Instead of recoiling, she welcomed them, letting the pain wash through her. Her breath evened, and she whispered, "I accept my capacity for both creation and destruction. I claim the strength to balance flame with restraint." Next, Brine Whisper approached. The shard's tendrils of energy snaked toward him, tasting his compassion. Visions of his earlier misbalance, the parched fields left below his diverted river, arose in the air. Tides of sorrow swelled within him, threatening to drown his resolve. With steady voice, he intoned, "I accept my flaws of mercy unmeasured. I claim the wisdom to guide compassion with foresight." He placed the conch shell beside the shard, its runes glowing with acceptance. Finally, Reverie advanced. The hall's corners darkened as nightmares she had once unleashed flickered to life, dream creatures twisted by fear, souls terrified by her unbridled visions. Heart-pounding, she let each vision pass through her mind. Then, in a clear voice, she sang, "I accept the power and peril of dreams. I claim the grace to shepherd visions into gentle hope." She laid her petal of dreams before the shard. The three turned, hands joined, and placed the tier of reflection atop the dais. In that instant, all facets converged: flame, tide, dream, regret, and acceptance. The shard of reckoning blazed with white-hot intensity, then imploded inward, crystallizing into a perfect prism that floated above the dais. 6. A path reforged. The hall stones trembled as the prism pulsed. The tendrils of violet energy retracted, the storms cleared, and a beam of pure light shot through the roof's opening, projecting an arrow of radiance toward a distant point in the uncharted beyond. Ian's voice thundered with approval. "You have embraced every facet of possibility, the light and shadow of your gifts, the lessons of your trials. The shard of reckoning is yours. Follow its beam to the next realm, where destiny awaits to be chosen. Celestia's echo wove through the chamber, your unity has triumphed. The future's path is now open. Elysium's heartbeat pulsed warmly, carry this acceptance into every world you touch. Let reconciliation be your gift. Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood before the newly formed prism. Each shard ward had merged into its facets. The trio raised their joined hands, and the prism settled into a crystalline key, the key of becoming, glowing with soft white light. Together, they stepped onto the beam of radiance. In that moment, the Isle of Reckoning faded behind them, its storms and trials receding into memory. Ahead lay the next horizon, a realm yet unwritten, poised to receive the imprint of their united purpose. A soft hum of possibility thrummed through the void as Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped from the beam of radiance into a land unlike any they'd known. Beneath their feet stretched a mosaic of floating platforms, each one tinted in muted hues of gold, cerulean, and violet, suspended in an endless dusk. This was the realm of shattered paths, where every decision ever made branched into its own reality, and untaken choices shimmered as phantom roads. Above, 3 moons drifted in a slow celestial dance, Hera, aglow with ember runes, Nereus, veined with drifting currents, and Somna, alive with flickering dream patterns. Their combined light cast long, crisscrossing shadows that painted the platforms in shifting tapestries of memory and potential. Somewhere in this panorama lay the meeting point of all choices, the nexus of decision where the key of becoming would finally reveal its purpose. A tapestry of what-ifs. The moment they set foot on the first platform, the ground pulsed with echoes of alternate selves. Ember Weaver saw versions of herself who had never tempered their fire, forging suns that exploded. Instantly, Brine Whisper glimpsed reflections of tides he'd never tempered, drowning coasts in unchecked floods. Reverie felt the weight of dreams she'd never guided, spawning nightmares that devoured hope. Each phantom path pulsed like a living echo, inviting and foreboding. Every choice we didn't make is alive here, Reverie whispered, voice trembling with wonder. Every regret and every possibility laid bare. Brine Whisper touched the surface with gentle fingers. It's beautiful, and terrifying. We must remain anchored to our purpose, lest we be lost in endless could-have-beens. Ember Weaver raised her hammer of embers, now glowing dimly in this realm's muted light. Let the key of becoming guide us. It will lock onto the Nexus's signal. Follow its glow. Indeed, the crystalline key pulsed with soft white light, stronger on some platforms and fading on others, tracing a path through the labyrinth of choices. They followed its gentle beacon, stepping from platform to platform. Each step brought a new vision. On one, they found a future where Ember Weaver never agreed to the trials, leaving worlds starless, but these were overrun by silent voids. On another, Brine Whisper saw seas of mercy so vast that they stagnated, leaving life stranded on barren shores. Upon a third, Reverie witnessed dream visions so powerful that they shattered minds rather than comfort them. Each vision challenged them to acknowledge the balance they'd struck, fire restrained by reflection, tides guided by foresight, dreams tempered by compassion. Rather than fear or dwell, they pressed onward, heart steady. 2. The Bridge of Divergence. After many crossings, they arrived at the Bridge of Divergence, a slender span of mirrored glass suspended above a yawning chasm of prismatic light. At its entrance stood a stone arch inscribed. To reach the nexus, you must unite all paths, embrace the road you walked, the roads foregone, and forge a new course. Below them, the chasm pulsed with fractured fragments of every path they had traversed so far. Stepping onto the glass, their reflections multiplied into dozens, each bearing different expressions: hope, fear, triumph, sorrow. The key of becoming's glow fractured into 3 ribbons of flame, water, and mist, each weaving around a different reflection. Brine Whisper faltered. How can we unite what we never chose? Reverie closed her eyes, recalling the tear of reflection. By acknowledging them and then choosing with conviction. Ember Weaver's voice rang clear. We honor the roads we did not take, but they do not define us. Our choice is here and now. Together, they raised the key above their heads. The 3 elemental ribbons coalesced into a single beam of pure white light that swept across the glass bridge. With each pulse, a phantom reflection stepped forward and merged with them, embracing the fire-forged, flood-tamed, dream-guided selves. The glass solidified underfoot, and at its end, a door of starlight opened onto the final platform. 3. The Nexus of Decision. The last platform was a perfect circle of polished obsidian. In its center stood a pedestal carved from living crystal, upon which hovered the Nexus of Decision, a swirling vortex of suspended choices, each represented by a luminous sigil drifting in the air. Around the vortex orbited 3 larger sigils: Ember Weaver's Phoenix, Brine Whisper's Coral Wave, and Reverie's Dream Petal, linked by strands of white light. As they approached, Ian's voice resonated like a distant drum. Here lies the heart of all possibilities. One choice must be made to bind the uncharted beyond. Will you forge the future by your will, trust destiny's flow, or weave your dreams into reality? Celestia's echo whispered, or perhaps a path combining all 3, crafting a destiny unique. Elysium's heartbeat urged, choose with compassion for all that has been and all that may come. The vortex stirred, and a chorus of voices emerged, echoes of their former selves, of those they had helped, and of the realms they touched. Each urged a different choice: forge boldly, trust the tide, dream grandly. Ember Weaver stepped forward. I choose to shape with fire's spark, boldly initiating change. Brine Whisper followed. I choose to guide with water's flow, ensuring life's balance. Reverie raised her hand. I choose to inspire with dreams, vision kindling hope. At that moment, the vortex pulsed with blinding white light. The 3 larger sigils detached from their orbits and joined together above the pedestal, interlocking into a new emblem, a radiant spiral of fire, water, and dream entwined. From its center emerged a single, pure light that washed over the trio, imbuing them with the power to write the next verse. 4. The birth of the new path. As the light settled, the realm of shattered paths shivered. platforms realigned, merging into a single, uninterrupted road of living crystal that stretched into the horizon. The swirling dusk brightened to a warm dawn, and the drifting choices coalesced into a tapestry beneath their feet, showing a unified future where their combined virtues guided every step. The key of becoming, now fused with the Nexus emblem, transformed into a radiant sigil, a living map glowing with shifting hues. It pointed toward a distant gate of opalescent light, inscribed with the words, "Beyond here lies the final horizon, the forge of futures." Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood at the road's beginning, hearts aligned in purpose. Emberweaver raised her gauntlet, feeling the hum of shared destiny. Brine Whisper's conch shell echoed softly, a tide chant of renewal. Reverie's dream cloak shimmered with possibilities yet to be dreamed. Together, Emberweaver said, voice firm, "We step forward." And together, Brine Whisper added, "We guide all paths toward harmony." "May hope light the way," Reverie whispered, "and courage carry us." Hand in hand, they walked into the glowing gate. As they passed through, the realm of shattered paths dissolved into rays of dawn. Beyond the gate lay a vast horizon of gilded clouds and molten horizons, the forge of futures, where their united will would fashion the destiny of all creation. The moment Emberweaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped beyond the opalescent gate, a burst of radiant energy enveloped them. They found themselves standing on an immense plateau suspended in a sea of molten gold and shifting clouds, the forge of futures, a sacred realm where time folded like molten metal and possibility itself was forged anew. Towering arches of incandescent crystal rose around them, humming with latent power. The air shimmered with heat and light, each breath felt charged with the promise of creation and transformation. Ian's voice echoed through the vastness, "Here, the fabric of fate is malleable, shaped by intention, courage, and unity. Your final task awaits, to forge a future worthy of all that has been and all that will come." Celestia's threads of starlight wove gently through the air, tracing paths of potential, while Elysium's warm pulse grounded the energy with the breath of life. Before them, a colossal anvil of translucent crystal sat atop a pedestal forged from converging streams of fire, water, and dream. Suspended above it was the primal prism, now glowing with a brilliance that seemed to capture the essence of all they had endured. Emberweaver stepped forward, hammer glowing with tempered fire. "This is where we write the new verse, the destiny we choose to craft." Brine Whisper's voice was steady as he raised his conch shell. "A future balanced by flame, tide, and vision, one that nurtures all realms." Reverie's eyes sparkled with hope. "May our song resonate through eternity." Together, they joined hands and lifted the primal prism above the anvil. The realm pulsed in response, threads of fate weaving, splitting, and intertwining in a dance of infinite possibility. Their wills intertwined, they channeled the elements. Emberweaver's controlled fire tempered the raw potential, Brine Whisper's flowing currents shaped the form, Reverie's dream-lit visions breathed soul and meaning into the forging. As sparks flew and energies surged, the forge of futures blazed with the creation of a new cosmic chord, one that would echo through the realms, binding together past, present, and all futures yet to unfold. The radiant energy from the Forge of Futures slowly dimmed to a soft, steady glow, illuminating the vast expanse that stretched beyond the plateau. Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood side by side, their spirits alight with the profound resonance of what they had just forged. The cosmic chord they had woven was not merely a melody but a living, breathing symphony, each note an echo of fire, water, and dream, bound together by unity and choice. As the light spread across the skies of the forge, Ian's voice, deep and measured, resonated through the realm. You have shaped not just a future, but the very essence of becoming. This symphony will guide creation through epochs yet unborn. Celestia's voice wove gently into the cosmic chorus. Your unity has restored the balance fractured at the dawn. Through your courage, the threads of destiny are realigned. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed warmly beneath them, infusing life into the newly forged melody. Now, step forth as guardians of the tapestry. Carry the symphony into the realms and inspire harmony among all. The chosen exchanged determined glances, their hearts synchronized with the universal rhythm. They knew their journey was far from over. Their role now was to nurture, protect, and guide the endless unfolding of the universe's grand tale. The first steps from the Forge of Futures led them to a realm where stars sang in harmonious chorus and oceans danced to the tune of celestial tides. Here, the balance they had forged found expression in vibrant worlds teeming with life and light. Ember Weaver extended her hand, and flames blossomed at her fingertips, not as destruction but as warmth and illumination. She kindled stars, nurturing them from infancy into radiant beacons, their light weaving through the cosmos like threads of hope. Brine Whisper summoned tides that caressed shorelines with gentle hands, their rhythm soothing and steady. He guided waters to sustain life, carving rivers through mountains and filling valleys with nourishing streams. Reverie breathed dreams into the minds of beings across worlds, seeding imagination and empathy. Her lullabies soothed restless spirits and sparked creativity, weaving connections between hearts and souls. Together, they traveled across realms, their influence subtle but profound. Wherever discord threatened the harmony of creation, they intervened not with force, but with understanding, balance, and grace. Yet, their symphony was met with challenges. Echoes of Vesper's lingering shadow stirred in forgotten corners, forces that sought to unravel the unity they had fought so hard to establish. In a realm cloaked in eternal twilight, whispers of doubt seeded unrest among its inhabitants. Shadows grew longer, and fear twisted dreams into nightmares. Reverie descended here, weaving her most delicate lullabies to calm the turmoil, reminding hearts of hope's enduring light. On a world scorched by endless flame, Ember Weaver faced the remnants of unchecked passion, volcanoes that roared with fury, threatening to consume all. She tempered their fire, turning destruction into renewal, guiding the planet's molten core into a nurturing heartbeat. In the vast oceans of a distant sphere, Brine Whisper found waters poisoned by imbalanced currents, choked by selfish tides. With gentle hands, he cleansed the seas, restoring flows that embraced life and harmony. Through their combined efforts, the symphony of becoming grew richer, its melodies adapting to the needs of countless worlds. Ian, Celestia, and Elysium watched with pride from the loom, their ancient essences intertwined with the Chosen's journey. You have become the living embodiment of the cosmic harmony we sought, Ian proclaimed. Your story is now woven into the fabric of the universe. Celestia added, your courage to face trials, embrace regret, and forge unity has restored the tapestry's strength. Elysium's pulse resonated softly, may your song inspire all who listen to the call of becoming. As the symphony of becoming echoed through the vast realms, the chosen Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie felt the weight of their roles deepen. Their journey through trials and triumphs had forged them into living conduits of cosmic harmony, but the universe, in its boundless complexity, beckoned them toward a new chapter, the gathering of the threads. The call of the loom. From the loom's highest chamber, a subtle tremor pulsed an ancient resonance that stirred the very fabric of reality. Ian's voice, calm yet urgent, reached the chosen across the cosmos. Guardians of the tapestry, a convergence approaches. Threads long separated now weave toward union. The realms call for a council, a union of all who bear the mark of creation. Celestia's shimmering presence accompanied the message. The balance you have nurtured invites others to join the weave. Together, you must face forces both old and new, those that seek to harmonize and those that strive to unravel. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed like a rallying drum. Gather your strength and allies. The next movement of the cosmic symphony awaits. 2. The Convergence Realm. The chosen journeyed to the Convergence Realm, a nexus where countless strands of creation intersected. Floating islands of diverse ecosystems orbited a colossal crystal inspire the heart of the loom. Here, beings of flame, water, dream, and myriad other essences had answered the call, each carrying unique threads of power and purpose. Among the assembled were ancient starborn like Saelistus, whose flames now burned with tempered wisdom, Tidecan elders who had mastered oceanic currents beyond imagination, dream-touched seers weaving visions of unity, and newly awakened beings embodying aspects of light, shadow, time, and space. The gathering pulsed with anticipation and latent tension. Despite their shared origins, differences in philosophy and power threatened discord. 3. The Council of Threads. At the heart of the loom, the chosen stood before the assembly. Ember Weaver raised her hammer, its glow steady and unwavering. We come as bearers of unity, she proclaimed. Our journey has taught us the strength in balance, the power in compassion, and the necessity of choice. Brine Whisper's voice rippled through the crowd like a soothing tide. The threads of creation are many, but they weave a single tapestry. Together, we must resist forces that seek to fray our bonds. Reverie's dream-like tones wrapped the assembly in warmth. Let empathy guide our hands and open our hearts to the diverse melodies within this grand symphony. Yet among the gathering, murmurs of dissent arose. Some feared that unity would dilute their power, others questioned the chosen's authority to lead. 4. The Shadow of Discord. From the depths of the assembly, a figure cloaked in shifting darkness emerged, an ancient entity named Nyxvyr, the Weaver of Shadows. Once a guardian of forgotten paths, Nyxvyr had grown disillusioned, believing that only through dominance could true order be maintained. You speak of harmony, NYXVYR's voice hissed, but the universe is chaos incarnate. Weakness invites destruction. Only the strongest threads should survive. The assembly tensed as NYXVYR conjured tendrils of shadow that writhed like serpents, threatening to unravel the very loom beneath them. Ember Weaver stepped forward, hammer ablaze. Strength without unity is ruin. We forge not to conquer, but to coexist. Brine Whisper summoned a tidal barrier, shielding the gathered. Reverie wove dreams of hope and courage, bolstering their resolve. The battle for the loom. Chaos erupted as NYXVYR's shadows clashed with the radiant threads of the assembly. Flames met darkness, waters surged against creeping voids, dreams battled nightmares. The loom trembled, strands vibrating with violent discord. The chosen fought at the forefront, their combined powers weaving shields and channels of light. Ember Weaver's fire carved pathways through shadow, Brine Whisper's tides washed away corruption, Reverie's dreams inspired valor and hope. Despite the fury, NYXVYR's shadows probed for weaknesses, seeking to sever the connections between allies. 6. The binding of light. Realizing that sheer power alone would not suffice, the chosen reached within their shared unity. Drawing upon the primal prism, they channeled a harmonious pulse, an intricate weave of fire, water, and dream that radiated purity and strength. This pulse extended outward, knitting the fragmented threads of the assembly into a cohesive fabric. The shadows recoiled, strands dissolving into harmless mist. NYXVYR faltered, her form unraveling. In a final gesture, she whispered, "Perhaps, balance is the true strength." With that, she dissipated, leaving behind a single black thread that shimmered faintly, a reminder that even in unity, shadows endure. 7. A new tapestry. With the loom restored, the assembly embraced their diversity within newfound unity. They pledged to nurture the cosmic symphony together, guarding against future threats and celebrating the beauty of interwoven destinies. The chosen were honored as heralds of becoming ambassadors, bridging realms and guiding the ever-evolving narrative of creation. Ian, Celestia, and Elysium observed with profound pride, their eternal song enriched by this moment of profound growth. Beyond the radiant unity forged in the convergence realm, the cosmic tapestry whispered of deeper mysteries, threads long concealed behind the veil of forgotten whispers. This realm, cloaked in mist and memory, lay at the border between the known and the hidden, a sanctuary where lost stories and silent echoes dwelled. Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood before the veil's shimmering threshold, a curtain woven from stardust and shadow, humming with ancient power. The primal prism pulsed softly in their grasp, its facets reflecting glimmers of forgotten lore. Ian's voice resonated through the veil, "Guardians, to safeguard the future, you must first reclaim the past." The veil holds the whispers of creation's hidden truths and untold dangers. Celestia's thread wove gently through the mist. Listen to the silent songs, for they carry wisdom long eclipsed by time. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed like a lullaby. Embrace what was lost to heal what is yet to be. Together, the chosen stepped into the veil. Inside, The air shimmered with fragmented memories, visions of ancient realms swallowed by time, forgotten heroes whose deeds faded into myth, and shadows of past choices that shaped the present. As they journeyed deeper, the whispers coalesced into three enigmatic figures, echoes of the first trio who had once walked the loom before Ian, Celestia, and Elysium. These echoes bore knowledge vital to maintaining the balance between creation and oblivion. Through trials of memory, trust, and revelation, the chosen learned of the delicate threads that, if left untended, could unravel the entire cosmic weave. Stepping beyond the veil of forgotten whispers, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie found themselves in a realm unlike any before, a vast expanse where shadows moved with sentience, where light bent unpredictably, and where unseen forces whispered in every breath. This was the realm of the unseen, a place that embodied the hidden fears, unspoken doubts, and latent potentials of the entire tapestry. The primal prism glowed faintly in their hands, its light a fragile beacon amid the swirling darkness. Ian's voice drifted like a distant echo, "This realm tests the unseen within and without. You must confront shadows not yet named, fears unvoiced, and truths cloaked by silence." Celestia's weaving threads shimmered in the dimness. "To navigate this realm, trust the light of unity and the strength born from accepting the unknown." Elysium's pulse murmured gently, "Only through embracing the unseen can the tapestry endure." The chosen moved cautiously. The shadows coalesced into shapes, phantoms of doubts, specters of past failures, and silhouettes of possibilities unrealized. Each step forward demanded courage to acknowledge what lay hidden in their own hearts and in the fabric of creation. Ember Weaver faced a flickering shadow of a star unformed, a world never birthed from her forge's flame, a manifestation of doubt in her creative power. She reached out, embracing the shadow, and felt it transform into a spark of renewed inspiration. Brine Whisper encountered waves that receded endlessly, representing fears of loss and isolation. Instead of fleeing, he waded into the waters, calming the tides with steady song, transforming fear into acceptance. Reverie met dream shapes twisting into nightmares of futility and despair. She sang a lullaby woven from the memories of hope and triumph, soothing the restless forms into peaceful visions. Together, they journeyed through the labyrinth of shadows, learning that the unseen, whether fear or potential, was an integral part of becoming. At the heart of the realm, they found the mirror of true sight, an ancient artifact reflecting not only appearances but inner truths. Peering into it, they saw their deepest selves, their strengths and vulnerabilities laid bare. With shared resolve, they accepted these truths, knowing that only by embracing all facets of their being could they continue to weave the cosmic symphony with authenticity and power. The realm responded with a surge of light, opening a path forward, a bridge shimmering with every color of the spectrum, leading to the next chapter of their epic journey. Beyond the shimmering bridge that emerged from the realm of the unseen, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stepped into a vast expanse unlike any realm they had traversed before. The sky stretched endlessly in every direction, woven from stars that shimmered like ancient gemstones embedded in velvet darkness. This was the echoes of infinity, a realm where time and space intertwined in complex harmonies, where every possibility from the past, present, and future echoed in endless cycles. The primal prism, now integrated into their beings, pulsed with radiant light, syncing with the boundless energy that surrounded them. Ian's voice boomed softly, reverberating through the cosmos. Here lies the eternal symphony, where every choice resounds forever. To master becoming, you must learn to listen to the infinite echoes and find your place within the boundless song. Celestia's threads danced like silver ribbons, weaving patterns of cosmic unity. The past and future are but notes in the great melody. Embrace the flow without fear, and you shall guide the cadence of creation. Elysium's heartbeat pulsed steady and warm, grounding the trio amidst infinity. With compassion and courage, you shall illuminate the path, even when the echoes threaten to overwhelm. I. The river of timeless moments. The chosen followed a radiant path, an endless river of shimmering light that twisted through the stars. Each ripple along its surface carried a fragment of time, moments of joy, sorrow, triumph, and regret cascading in a continuous flow. Ember Weaver reached out, touching the river's surface. Images flooded her mind, the first sparks of creation, worlds ignited by her hand, and yet also moments where fire had scorched too fiercely, causing destruction. The river reflected not just her deeds but the intertwined fates of all beings touched by her flames. Brine Whisper stepped beside her, the river's current whispering tales of tides he had calmed and tempests he had unleashed. The flow carried memories of life sustained and life lost, teaching him the delicate balance of his stewardship. Reverie immersed herself in the gentle waves, feeling the dreams that had been born, nurtured, and sometimes shattered. The river sang to her of hope, loss, and the unyielding power of imagination. Together, they listened to the river's timeless song, understanding that every moment, no matter how fleeting, shaped the fabric of becoming. 2. The Chamber of Infinite Reflections. Guided by the river's flow, they arrived at a colossal chamber whose walls mirrored the cosmos. Stars and galaxies spiraled in the reflections, each a universe unto itself. At the chamber's center floated the orb of infinite echoes, pulsating with the accumulated memories of countless realities. Approaching the orb, the trio felt the weight of infinite choices pressing upon them. Visions of paths not taken, futures unchosen, and lives unlived danced before their eyes. Ember Weaver's voice broke the silence. To wield the power of infinity, we must accept both our triumphs and failures. Only then can we create without fear. Brine Whisper added, compassion is not weakness but the strength to embrace all possibilities, even those we wish to forget. Reverie smiled gently. And dreams are the bridges between what is and what might be. Through them, we transcend limitations. They placed their hands upon the orb, their combined light merging with its core. The orb radiated a brilliant cascade of colors, enveloping them in a cocoon of cosmic energy. 3. The Dance of the Eternal Song. Within the cocoon, the chosen experienced the eternal song, a symphony composed of every heartbeat, every breath, every whisper across time and space. The music was complex and beautiful, weaving joy and sorrow, light and shadow into a seamless whole. As the song flowed through them, they felt their beings expand beyond physical form, touching the essence of existence itself. Ian's voice echoed. You are now part of the symphony. Your choices ripple across eternity, shaping the dance of becoming. Celestia's threads wove patterns of harmony. Listen to the rhythm, and you shall guide the song toward infinite beauty. Elysium's pulse resonated warmly. With love and courage, you are the light in the endless dance. 4. The return to the loom. As the eternal song faded, the chosen found themselves gently returned to the loom's highest chamber. The tapestry gleamed brighter than ever, its threads vibrant with new energy and possibilities. The radiant prism now hung above the loom, a symbol of their journey and the unity they had forged. Together, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood before the prism, knowing that their story was but one verse in the endless song of the cosmos. The loom's radiant glow bathed the chamber as Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie prepared to step into the next stage of their cosmic journey. Their spirits intertwined with the fabric of the universe itself, the primal prism gleaming with the light of countless stars and the hopes of all creation. Ian's voice resonated through the vastness. Guardians of becoming, the time has come to weave the celestial tapestry, a living mosaic that binds realms, destinies, and dreams into a unified whole. Celestia's shimmering threads stretched outward, your hands will guide the strands, your choices shaping the pattern that will echo through eternity. Elysium's heartbeat pulsed with life's warmth, with compassion as your thread. Weave a future where light and shadow dance in harmony. I. The Weaver's Circle. The chosen were joined by myriad beings, starborn, tidekin, dream-touched, and others, each bearing unique threads shimmering with elemental essence. Together, they formed the Weaver's Circle around the loom, their combined energies swirling into a radiant spiral. Ember Weaver lifted her hammer, channeling the primal fire of creation. She ignited the threads with sparks of possibility, each flicker birthing new stars and galaxies. Brine Whisper's hands moved like flowing water, guiding the threads into graceful arcs and currents that carried life's rhythms across realms. Reverie sang softly, weaving dreams and visions into the tapestry's fabric, imbuing it with hope, memory, and infinite wonder. 2. The threads of unity and discord. As the tapestry grew, the weavers sensed threads of discord, ancient energies of doubt, fear, and shadow that sought to unravel their work. These threads pulsed with a dark allure, promising power at the cost of harmony. The chosen and their allies faced these challenges with unwavering resolve. Ember Weaver's fire forged barriers of light, Brine Whisper's tides washed away corruption, Reverie's dreams softened hearts hardened by despair. Together, they transformed discord into lessons, threads of growth woven seamlessly into the celestial tapestry. 3. The heart of the tapestry. At the center of the tapestry, a radiant core pulsed, the heart of becoming. It shimmered with the combined essence of every thread, every choice, every dream. The chosen approached, their spirits attuned to its rhythm. With a final surge of unity, they infused the heart with their shared purpose, sealing the tapestry's pattern. Ian's voice echoed triumphantly, the celestial tapestry is complete, a living testament to unity, choice, and compassion. Celestia's threads wove a final blessing, may its pattern guide all realms toward harmony and endless becoming. Elysium's heartbeat sang softly, and may love be the light that sustains it. 4. The eternal dance begins. With the tapestry woven, the realms pulsed with renewed vitality. Stars sang in unison, oceans danced to ancient rhythms, and dreams blossomed like celestial flowers. The chosen stood united, their journey a beacon of hope and courage. They knew the tapestry was not an end but a beginning, a foundation for stories yet to unfold, for songs yet to be sung. As the celestial tapestry shimmered across the cosmos, its threads extending beyond the loom into infinite possibilities, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie smiled, knowing that together, they had become the heart of becoming itself. As the celestial tapestry radiated its unified brilliance across the realms, a subtle shift began to ripple at the edges of creation. Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie, now heralds of the cosmic harmony, sensed a new call, a summons woven into the very fabric of becoming itself. Ian's voice, steady and resonant, carried on the cosmic winds. Guardians of the loom, the time has come to venture beyond the woven threads to pierce the veil of eternal dawn. Beyond it lies the origin of all possibilities, where the song of creation first stirred and where the future seeds are sown. Celestia's shimmering threads beckoned. To journey through the veil is to confront the infinite potential of what has yet to be, a realm of light and shadow intertwined, of hope and fear balanced on a knife's edge. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed with tender strength. Walk with compassion, courage, and clarity. The veil will reveal not only what is to come but also the choices that must be made to shape it. Crossing the threshold. The three chosen approached a vast archway crafted from translucent crystal, etched with ancient glyphs pulsing with light. As they stepped through, the world shifted. Time and space dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors and sensations, a place where every moment existed simultaneously, where dreams wove with reality, and the horizon stretched into endless dawn. Ember Weaver felt the warmth of countless suns igniting at once, their fires blazing with unbridled potential. Brine Whisper heard the rush of endless tides, waves folding over themselves in timeless dance. Reverie sensed a chorus of dreams, fragile yet infinite, shimmering like morning mist. Together, they ventured deeper into the veil, their senses attuned to the shifting currents of possibility. 2. The Crucible of Choices. Within the veil, the chosen encountered the crucible, a swirling vortex of light and shadow representing the nexus of all choices yet to be made. Threads of potential futures spiraled around them, some bright with promise, others darkened by doubt. Ian's voice echoed. To forge the future, you must confront the weight of possibility. Each path bears consequences that ripple through the tapestry. Your unity will guide you through the maze of choices. Celestia's threads wove intricate patterns, illuminating paths hidden in the shifting light. Elysium's pulse encouraged calm resolve, grounding them amidst the tempest of potential. The chosen faced visions of futures where fire burned unchecked, tides ran wild, and dreams fractured into despair. But they also saw paths where their combined strength nurtured balance, growth, and hope. 3. The Dance of Light and Shadow. As they navigated the crucible, the chosen's own fears and hopes materialized, phantoms born from their deepest selves. Ember Weaver confronted the fear of her fire consuming all, Brine Whisper faced the doubt of his tides failing to sustain, Reverie battled the despair of dreams unfulfilled. Through mutual support and shared courage, they transformed these shadows into sources of strength. Ember Weaver's flames tempered into nurturing warmth, Brine Whisper's waters calmed into sustaining rivers, Reverie's dreams blossomed into guiding stars. Their unity forged a path through the swirling vortex, leading them to the heart of the veil. 4. The Seed of Dawn. At the veil's core lay a single luminous seed, pulsing with pure potential, the seed of dawn, the origin from which all futures would grow. The chosen knelt together, placing their hands upon the seed. Channeling the essence of fire, water, and dream, they infused it with their shared purpose, igniting a radiant bloom that expanded outward, weaving new threads into the celestial tapestry. Ian proclaimed, "With this act, you bind the dawn of all tomorrows to the song of becoming. The future is yours to shape." Celestia's threads shimmered in celebration, while Elysium's heartbeat resonated with life renewed. V. A new beginning. As the seed of dawn blossomed, the veil transformed into a realm of golden light and endless horizons. The chosen stood at the threshold of a new age, a universe alive with possibility, harmony, and hope. Together, they pledged to guide creation's unfolding symphony, honoring the lessons of the past and embracing the promise of all that was yet to come. Beneath the golden skies of the newly awakened cosmos, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood upon the summit of eternity, a peak woven from the very threads of the celestial tapestry. Here, the air shimmered with the resonance of countless lives, every heartbeat, and every breath woven into the symphony of becoming. The primal prism, now radiant with the light of countless stars, hovered before them, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the summit's crystalline floor. It was time for the chosen to seal their journey with an oath, a covenant that would bind their destinies to the stewardship of creation itself. Ian's voice, deep and unwavering, echoed through the expanse. Guardians of the loom, your trials have shaped the very fabric of reality. The time has come to bind your will with the eternal oath of protection. Swear to uphold the balance, to nurture the harmony, and to guide the endless dance of becoming. Celestia's shimmering threads wove intricate patterns around the prism, reflecting the solemnity of the moment. Elysium's heartbeat pulsed like a steady drum, grounding the guardians in purpose and resolve. I. The vows of flame, tide, and dream. Ember Weaver stepped forward, her eyes ablaze with tempered fire. Raising her hammer high, she proclaimed, "By the forge of the first flame, I vow to ignite hope where darkness dwells, to wield fire not as destruction but as creation, and to temper passion with wisdom." Brine Whisper knelt beside her, lifting the conch shell with reverence. His voice flowed like a calm river. "By the endless tides, I vow to sustain life's flow, to balance mercy with strength, and to guide the currents of change with compassion." Reverie unfurled her cloak of dream mist, her voice a gentle song. "By the realm of dreams, I vow to nurture imagination and empathy, to heal with visions of hope, and to weave dreams that inspire unity." Together, they placed their hands upon the primal prism. Light surged forth, enveloping them in a cocoon of radiant energy. 2. The binding of the guardians. Within the cocoon, the chosen felt their essences merge with the prism's eternal light. Memories of trials, triumphs, and lessons learned flowed through them, each experience a thread strengthening their resolve. Ian's voice whispered, "With this binding, you become eternal guardians of the tapestry. Your unity is the shield against chaos, your wisdom the beacon for all realms." Celestia's threads entwined around their forms, weaving protective sigils that shimmered like stars. Elysium's heartbeat synchronized with theirs, infusing their beings with life's enduring pulse. As the light faded, the chosen found themselves transformed, not merely mortals but avatars of cosmic balance, their powers magnified and harmonized with the universe's very essence. 3. The charge of stewardship. The summit of eternity shifted, revealing a grand vista, realms of dazzling beauty and shadowed depths, each thread of creation visible in the tapestry's vast expanse. A figure cloaked in light and shadow appeared, the ancient weaver of the loom, the embodiment of the universe's will. With a voice both gentle and commanding, the weaver spoke. "Guardians, your journey has reshaped the destiny of all that is and all that will be. Yet the tapestry is ever evolving, its threads vulnerable to unraveling by forces seen and unseen." The weaver extended a hand, revealing a staff carved from starlight and shadow, the scepter of balance. "Take this as a symbol of your charge. With it, you may mend frayed threads, quell rising discord, and guide creation's song through ages untold." Ember Weaver grasped the staff first, feeling its immense power coursing through her. Brine Whisper and Reverie followed, their hands joining in unison. 4. The dawn of eternal vigilance. With the scepter of balance in their possession, the chosen turned toward the tapestry's infinite expanse. Their journey was far from over, the universe's symphony would demand eternal guardianship, courage, and compassion. Ember Weaver's voice was firm yet hopeful. "We have forged a future not by fate alone, but by choice. Together, we shall protect the harmony we have nurtured." Brine Whisper's gaze was steady, reflecting the depths of his resolve. "Our tides will carry the song of balance to every shore." Reverie's smile was radiant, a beacon for all who dream. "And our dreams will inspire every heart to join the dance." V. The symphony resounds. As they raised the scepter high, the celestial tapestry pulsed with renewed brilliance. Threads of fire, water, and dream intertwined, weaving a radiant spiral that extended beyond the loom, touching every realm, every soul. Ian's voice echoed, a timeless refrain. "The guardians of becoming stand watch, their unity the light that guides the eternal dance." Celestia's threads sang in harmony. "Let balance prevail, and hope endure." Elysium's heartbeat echoed softly. "And may love forever weave the fabric of existence." Bathed in the luminous glow of the scepter of balance, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie began their new chapter as eternal guardians of becoming. The celestial tapestry stretched infinitely before them, a living mosaic of realms and destinies, each thread pulsating with life, hope, and the echoes of all choices made. The loom whispered ancient songs, inviting the guardians to venture into the farthest reaches of creation, to tend to threads neglected, to inspire harmony where discord threatened, and to weave new possibilities into the grand cosmic design. The call beyond the known. The guardians journeyed beyond familiar realms to the endless horizons, a vast expanse where stars born from ember weavers' forge mingled with oceans shaped by brine whispers, tides and dreams nurtured by reverie's visions. Here, new civilizations rose and fell in cycles, their stories interwoven with the cosmic symphony. Yet, amidst the beauty, the guardians sensed fractures, threads frayed by time, choices left unresolved, and shadows lurking at the edges of existence. The loom's song grew urgent, a call to action that reverberated through the guardians' souls. Ian's voice, deep and resonant, urged. To guard the tapestry is to embrace the endless dance of renewal. You must journey to the forgotten threads, to rekindle hope and mend the broken. Celestia's threads shimmered with purpose. Seek the lost realms, where balance falters and the shadows grow. Your unity will be their light. Elysium's heartbeat beats steady. With compassion and courage, you will weave a future bright with promise. 2. The Forgotten Realms. The first of the Guardians' destinations was the realm of lost echoes, a place where memories faded and history slipped into oblivion. Here, civilizations had forgotten their origins, and the tapestry's threads hung loose, threatening to unravel the fabric of reality. Ember Weaver's flames flickered with determination as she rekindled ancient fires, igniting sparks of remembrance in the hearts of the realm's inhabitants. Brine Whisper's tides flowed gently, washing away the dust of forgetfulness and nurturing new growth. Reverie's dreams wove through the minds of the lost, planting seeds of hope and connection. Together, they restored the realm's place within the tapestry, binding its threads firmly once more. 3. The Shadows of Discord. Next, the Guardians faced the realm of fractured light, where discord festered and shadows threatened to consume the harmony of creation. Here, conflicting forces clashed in endless cycles, each seeking dominance over the other. Ember Weaver's tempered fire forged shields of light to protect fragile hopes. Brine Whisper's waters flowed as bridges, connecting divided hearts and healing wounds. Reverie's dreams inspired understanding, dissolving fear, and fostering empathy. Through their combined efforts, the Guardians quelled the realm's turmoil, weaving new patterns of peace and balance. 4. The Horizon of Possibility. Their journey led them to the horizon of infinite dawn, where new threads of potential shimmered like the first light of creation. Here, the Guardians encountered beings yet to choose their path, souls brimming with possibility, waiting to be guided. Ember Weaver ignited passion and purpose in fledgling stars. Brine Whisper nurtured the flow of life's currents, guiding them gently. Reverie fostered dreams that sparked innovation and unity. Together, they wove the next verses of the cosmic symphony, ensuring that becoming would continue in ever-expanding beauty. B. The Eternal Dance. As their journey through the endless horizons unfolded, the Guardians realized that their role was not to control fate but to nurture the dance of choices, to inspire harmony amidst diversity, and to carry the flame of hope through the vast cosmos. Ian's voice echoed with pride. You are the heart of the tapestry, the eternal weavers of destiny. Celestia's threads sang in joyful harmony. May your unity light the paths of all beings. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed with love. And may compassion forever bind the threads of existence. After countless trials and infinite journeys across realms woven from fire, water, and dreams, Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie stood once more before the loom, the heart of all creation. The celestial tapestry shimmered with radiant light, every thread humming with stories told and yet to unfold. This was the moment when all paths converged, the final verse in the grand symphony of becoming. Ian's voice, ancient and unwavering, filled the chamber. Guardians, your odyssey has shaped the very essence of the universe. The time has come to seal your journey with the eternal symphony, a harmonious song that will forever guide the tapestry. Celestia's threads spiraled around the loom, weaving patterns of unity and purpose. Elysium's heartbeat thrummed a gentle cadence, filling the space with warmth and life. The gathering of light. Ember Weaver lifted her hammer, now glowing with the tempered fire of 1,000 stars. With deliberate strikes upon the loom, she ignited threads of hope and courage, each spark igniting galaxies and worlds. Brine Whisper's hands moved in fluid grace, calling forth currents of compassion and balance. His tides swept across the tapestry, connecting realms and bridging divides. Reverie's voice rose in a haunting melody, weaving dreams of unity, empathy, and boundless possibility into the very fabric of existence. Together, their gifts intertwined, creating a radiant spiral that encircled the loom and extended beyond into infinity. 2. The harmonization. As their combined energies pulsed, the celestial tapestry responded. Threads once tangled with discord straightened, colors brightened, and the song of creation swelled into a crescendo. The eternal symphony was born, a living melody echoing through all realms and times. Ian declared, "Let this symphony be the beacon for all who seek harmony. Its notes shall resonate in every heart and star." Celestia added, "Through unity and choice, the tapestry will endure, ever vibrant and alive." Elysium's heartbeat whispered, "And love shall be the eternal thread that binds all." 3. The Ascendants. With their task complete, the Guardians felt their forms dissolve into radiant light, their essences merging seamlessly with the loom. They became eternal weavers, both part of and protectors of the tapestry. From their ascent, new Guardians arose across the cosmos, beings inspired by their journey, ready to carry the symphony forward. The universe itself breathed, alive with the infinite dance of creation, destruction, and rebirth. 4. The legacy of becoming. Ian, Celestia, and Elysium, now fully intertwined with the tapestry, sang the final refrain. From unity springs endless possibility. From choice, the dance of destiny. From love, the heart of all. As the eternal symphony played on, The story of Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie became legend, a timeless testament to the power of courage, compassion, and dreams. Title: Becoming, the Eternal Symphony, a cosmic journey of unity, choice, and destiny. Description: Embark on an epic odyssey through the vast realms of the cosmos in Becoming, the Eternal Symphony. Follow Ember Weaver, Brine Whisper, and Reverie, three chosen guardians forged by trials of fire, water, and dream as they navigate realms of creation, regret, and infinite possibility. United by the primal prism and guided by the ancient aspects Aeon, Celestia, and Elysium, they face shadowed threats, embrace their deepest fears, and weave a celestial tapestry that binds all. Existence in harmony. This immersive tale explores the power of unity, compassion, and choice in shaping the fate of the universe, a timeless saga where every decision echoes through eternity, and every soul is part of the grand cosmic symphony of Becoming.